There has been an argument going on for years, ever since World of Tanks basically started having premiums into the game. And the big argument is, World of Tanks Blitz pay to win, or is World of Tanks Blitz pay to progress? Now, it is definitely pay to progress. That is 100%. I can go into the store right now, and I can spend, I don't know, $100 on, let's say, top-notch collection, and not only get a bunch of gold, but also possibly get tier 10s out of it. Or I can go buy bundles which will give me credits and stuff like that. There are definitely ways that you can just spend money to achieve what another player would spend months, if not maybe even years to grind or get their hands on. But the question of, is this game pay to win, I've debunked many times on the channel. And I always make a video like this to remind people that still might be lost in their ways that this is not a pay-to-win game. Now, there are definitely elements where you can spend money and get an advantage over people that don't. For example, the Smasher and Annihilator are the most overpowered tanks in Tier 7. Now, if the player themselves driving the tank isn't very good, in my opinion, it doesn't really matter if the tank itself is overpowered. Because if you're fighting, let's say, a 40% player in a Smasher, and they miss their shot, you now have 15 seconds to shoot that player. And as long as you're smart, you should be able to absolutely violate them. I honestly don't think Smashers are even that hard to deal with. The average stats in the vehicle have massively dropped since its original release. And, by the way, I'm on a free-to-play account. Like, my Droodles Noodles account is completely free-to-play. Every tank that I have in this account, any other player could also have got through the exact same methods. Now, to be fair, a lot of these tanks were luck. I mean, like the Object 260, 907, T22, these were all got through either Expo containers or the Blitzfair snow globes. But it's not luck that I got these tanks themselves. Snow globes are at least guaranteed, and same for the Expo container. If you just grind during the Blitzfair and during the Expo event, you alone could have gotten 2 premiums guaranteed, which would have been Tier 7 to Tier 10, and all of them are incredible. And that is how I was able to get my hands on this, the Annihilator. I saved up free XP the entire year, about 1.5 mil, and used all of it on Expo containers. And with that free XP, I was able to get like 4 or 5 of them. I remember in the video, I got a 4.52K. I got incredibly lucky. It does not take away from the fact that anybody else could earn this free XP instead of spending that free XP on lines. Like, for example, right now, I am grinding a bunch of different lines. If I make my way over the European nation, I got the Pantera, and I've got the 45 TP. And you'll notice I have ground the 45 TP without using any free XP to get the 53 TP. And that is the exact same situation for if we make our way, I don't know, over to a different nation. Like, I don't know, where's Japan? If we go over to Japan, my Hori, none of these modules have been upgraded. And I'm waiting for a game mode to get released, which currently doesn't exist until I can start grinding the vehicle. This is one of the ways that I save free XP, and when this happens, I'm able to get tanks for free later. If people don't want to save free XP, they also then can't complain that this game is pay to win if you're the one limiting yourself on the tanks and capabilities that you can have available to your collection. So all these tanks I've been able to get on my account are completely free. So that alone proves that this game is not pay to win. I mean, heck, the 50 TP and Ritter alone are some of the best tanks in the game. And, I mean, they're both easily free. But not only that, then we arrive to overpowered tech tree tanks that for some reason people just forget exist. The TVP 5051 is absolutely busted, and it's being nerfed next update because it's so busted. It is the second most played tank in Tier 10. Nobody can sit here and tell me that there are premiums more overpowered than the TVP in Tier 10, because there aren't. If you make your way over to other nations, the T100LT, when it was first released, absolutely broken. And even now, it is still an incredible vehicle. We can make our way over to different nations, like the T110E4, the M6 Show, T57 Heavy, Sheridan, T110E4. All absolutely amazing tanks, which are easily beating a lot of the best premiums and collectors in the game. It is super easy to just look at all the tanks available in the game and showcase how they are better than even some of the best premiums. I mean, that's how I've always looked at it. And this Tier 8 is a great example of how, I mean, even the Semovente Contra Car 64 is just about better than every other premium in Tier 8. I mean, sure, you've got vehicles like the T77, you've got the Barask, and you've got all these other quote-unquote overpowered tanks, which I do believe are overpowered, but it doesn't take away from this tank being overpowered. The Semovente Contra Car 64 has 11 degrees of gun depression. It features a gun that either has a 3-shell auto-reloader, like I'm using, or a single-shot 3K DPM 410 Alpha gun. Now, the 3K DPM gun is definitely a better option. The reason I'm not running it is because of the fact I don't have it researched. I skipped the gun because you don't need it and went right over towards the Minotauro. So that's why I am currently not using the other gun. But what I will say is I actually like this gun a lot. While the DPM might be a bit worse, the accuracy is much better, and it makes for a quite enjoyable experience. Now, unfortunately, we got hit from our lower plate across the map. Obviously, one of the downsides of being slow is that you're slow, and it's going to take you about 10,000 years to make your way to the midline. But once we get here, we're basically unstoppable. So, we got the Tiger off to the side. Let's aim it on his vehicle. Let's load in a premium shell. There you go, one very easy penetration into the enemy Tiger. Two very easy penetrations into the enemy Tiger, and we're just going to wait right here. The reason is because if I dump my last shell, we're going to absolutely neuter our DPM. So I'm just going to wait. We're actually going to back on up. We got a little bit of support from our Magnate as well. We do have a VK-45 off to the side, but just like that, we now have 3 shells in our tank. So we're going to get 1 shell into the Tiger's upper plate, and another shell into the Tiger's turret cheek. And I don't think he's enjoying his decision-making all too much. Now, we do have the VK off to my side, but I'm obviously not all too worried about that. We're going to reload in 2 more seconds, and the Tiger does pen me, again, in the lower plate. But I hate to break it to you, bud, it's not going to change the outcome of your life. So we've been able to kill the enemy Tiger already. Now we got the Magnate off to our side, which is going to be a bit of a hindrance here. We're going to reload, and I'm hoping the Magnate doesn't try to roll off behind us. We got 5 more seconds before we can get our 3 shells loaded. So here we go, 3, 2, 1, and a 1 bonk into the enemy player. And a 2 bonks into the enemy VK. And even though we're going to lose a bit of DPM, we got the 3rd shell in. Just like that, we are up to 2,100 damage. And again, it's a great example of how the Semovente is pretty dang insane. We've been able to completely dominate this hill. Now sure, I have like 0 DPM at this point, because I got, what, a 20-second reload to shoot my shells? But we were able to kill the enemy VK for it without bleeding any health. And even though this other VK is pushing up, we've now finally been able to get 3 of our shells loaded. So we're going to reload again. We got a couple more seconds, and alright, we almost got 2 shells loaded. And 5, a 4, a 3, 2, 1, and just like that, we now have all 3 shells of our tank loaded. So we got the Magnate off to the side. There's 1 shell into the Magnate, and I'm not going to shoot the second one because it's not worth it. We got the VK off to the side over here. We're not going to be able to get a shell in if he keeps moving, so we'll just shoot right there. We're up to 2,700 damage at this point. We also got the T69 all the way in the back, but obviously it's not worth it to dump my last shell because I'm going to have like negative 10,000 DPM. So we waited for our shell, then we get 1 shot into the T69, we get a 2nd shell into the T69, and at this point we can start making our way over into the front line. We have dealt 3,500 damage this battle, and even though dumping that last shell may seem like a bad decision, you gotta realize that this tank takes a while to actually get into the front line. So in 5 seconds, we're gonna have our shells loaded again, and I'm not really worried about this T69 anyway. I mean, even if he does pen me, which is possible, although that one was actually a bounce, quite nice. We just gotta reload, and in 3 more seconds, we'll have our 2 shells loaded. So, in 3, 2, 1, there's 1 shell into the T69, and let's just aim it a little bit longer. Bonk! Ow, my rat. And a bonk. The ending of this game was pretty boring, so we were able to finish off the Magnate, though, so not too bad. There you have it. Our first battle, while not a very quick game, was still an incredibly easy win, where we were able to deal, what? I'm not exactly sure how much. 3,768. We got a first class. We were able to make 92,000 credits and get a pretty solid victory out. I've been able to average 2,900 damage in this tank with 72 games and a 92% win rate. Now there's no way somebody can tell me that this game is pay to win. There's a lot of people out there that try to accuse me of being a shill for wargaming or, I don't know, profiting off of my opinion. Like, why would I gain anything from saying this game isn't pay to win? What would Wargaming gain from me saying that? Why would Wargaming want their game to look like it's not pay to win? Then people would stop buying overpowered premiums. Like, it hurts them and it would not really do anything to me. So I don't really understand that. even in the slightest form. But there's really no players out there that can argue with me that skill is less important than a premium tank. Like, if you're a 40%er, it doesn't matter how much money you spend, you will always be a 40% player. If you don't understand the basic mechanics of this game, and you try buying a tank that'll quote-unquote help you understand the mechanics, it's not going to. Like, I don't know why people think it will, but it's not going to. So, I don't know. We're getting a lot of bounces here. Great example of the Contra Car's armor. Looks like they've got a very decent chunk of vehicles camping in the back of their team. We got one nice shell into the enemy defender, and two nice shells into the enemy defender, and three. Nice. This is where having the auto-reloading cannon is much nicer than having the 400 damage per shotgun, because we can quickly take advantage of a player like that Defender Mark 1 without actually worrying about being overrun. I don't even know what was shooting at us, to be honest, from the back. It might be a Tiger 2 camping. Yeah, it looks like it was the Tiger 2. So, at this point, we got a Borsig who literally looks like he's oblivious to anything that's going on over here, which means it's basically down to me to get these clears. We got the Type 60, or STA one. I was going to say Type 61, but this is obviously the STA, who made a massive misplay, allowing me to drive right in front of him and get the clear. So we've already been able to deal 1,800. We've already killed both of the mediums on the enemy team, and we've blocked about 2,000 hit points. So, yeah, I mean, I think we've done a pretty solid job this battle. Even though dumping your clip in this vehicle is obviously going to neuter your DPM, it doesn't matter. I mean, we already have our shells loading once again. As I've said in the past, it doesn't really matter if you nuke the DPM on this tank as long as you have time to reload before getting into the front line, which is exactly what we've been doing in this battle here. So we got the IS-3, who I'm hoping is going to back up, which he does, and we're going to bounce his flat side, because that's my luck. Alright, let's try again. There you go, we get one pen into the IS-3. Now we're going to wait 7 seconds, and we should be able to completely kill this player. So, let's do that. 3, 2, 1, and there's one shell into the IS-3. And a 2. Nice. Long live that player. So, just like that, we've been able to pick up another clear using our reserve shell, which is what I usually think of the reserve shell being mainly for. 12 seconds, we're going to have another shell, although I don't know if it's going to matter. Our Yo is probably going to get a pen into the Tiger. Actually, he doesn't, surprisingly. Let's just see if we can get maybe one more pen out. I doubt it, though. This is not what I would consider to be the most mobile of vehicles, and because of that, it... Oh, you know what? You know what? Aha! There you go! Nice 328 damage shell into the Tiger, too. Just like that, we were able to break 3,000 damage. So, hey, as I have said in the past, it's just so easy to do well in this game. I mean, as a player who understands the mechanics, the positions, and the majority of unfolding situations in front of me, I tend to lean on the fact that this game is not pay to win. I tend to lean on the fact that anybody that understands how to play the game can do much better than somebody that doesn't. And it doesn't matter how much money you spend. Now, sure, I could probably pull out a T77 and do better than I might in the average tech tree, but I could also pull out a 53 TP, and I could pull out a 047, and I'm obviously going to do way better in a 53 TP than I am in an 047. Comparing apples to oranges is literally like what we're doing here, which is comparing a T77, one of the most overpowered tier 8 premiums, to, you know, tanks that aren't overpowered. If you compare any busted tank, like the Semovente Contra Caro, even to a T77, this vehicle stands a very good ground. So, I don't know. Hopefully you enjoyed today's video. I'll see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.